What's up, y'all? It's your favorite Ascendant Peak Bucky main Meatball. Over the last few days, I've been grinding Valorant's newest agent, Clove. What makes them unique is they can get high value even while being dead. In other words, a great agent for my boosted ass. Stay tuned if you want to learn how to hit sick clips like this. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about the Bucky, Shotgun Clove, and my thoughts on Clove in general after a couple dozen ranked games. First, a quick guide on the Bucky, since no one knows how to use this gun. According to the Valorant wiki, the Bucky is a low-cost shotgun and the cheapest primary weapon in the game. It has two firing modes, a standard single-shell primary fire and a canister alternative fire that allows the shell to travel a short distance before spraying its pellets, yada yada blah. I don't think I have to mention why the Bucky is economically viable, and the wiki tells you basically everything you know about the gun. What the wiki doesn't tell you is that the alternate fire is pretty much useless, especially when playing smokes. Not to go into details, but except for these two angles, the right click is almost always worse. With the Bucky, holding an angle is almost always stronger than pushing. This is because of the stupid fact that the Bucky has the slowest running speed in the game. Yes, even slower than the literal minigun. Obviously with the Bucky, you want to reduce the amount of time you spend exposed to long angles. Try to have your pistol or knife out whenever you're not peeking or holding a close angle. There are 3 things to remember when using the Bucky. Number 1. Minimize distance and peeker's advantage by holding at the optimal range of 5 to 12 meters from where an enemy would typically peek. Any closer and you are more likely to be cleared. Any farther and a one-shot is not guaranteed. If you are likely to be cleared, try to jiggle the angle to see the enemy before they can see you. Number 2. Stay ratty. Avoid utility and stay hidden. Avoiding utility is more important than staying hidden, so if you ever need to peek early for a kill to avoid utility, get yours and try to escape. If your location is ever revealed for any reason, try to reposition to a new ratty angle to avoid getting utility spammed or hard cleared. Number 3. Time your shots. A mistimed Bucky shot is almost certain death, since the time before you can shoot again takes so long. I can't count how many times I've mistimed or witnessed someone else mistime a Bucky shot, leading to instant death. Why should you use the Bucky? Honestly, because it's fun. Despite the shorty and judge giga nerfs, the Bucky is still kind of in a bad spot right now, where the judge is usually better and easier to use, albeit with higher cost, and the shorty is cheap enough to be justifiable when you're on low eco. The Bucky is a middle ground, and it isn't too great for the cost. Realistically, you are better off with the other shotguns, unless you know the... Now that you know the basics of the Bucky, time to dive into some more advanced Bucky tech. Can you guess what these two guns have in common? If you guessed that neither have real magazine sizes, you would be correct. To do this, simply spam reload while shooting. You face almost no fire rate penalty and can spam all 15 of your Bucky shells. This tech is helpful for spraying blindly in the smokes, securing multi-kills, reducing recoil, and eliminating the stinky reload sound, which gives away your position. This can, however, mess up your aim, make your fire rate slightly slower, and restrict your keyboard options. So you may want to only really do this when necessary. Another tech you might want to learn is Jump Peek Bucky. Unlike the Judge and the Shorty, the Bucky suffers minimal jumping inaccuracy. To perform this tech, jump peek a close angle, then flick to your opponent while strafing back. The final tech to learn is very simple. After each shot, make a split-second decision to jump or crouch to throw off the enemy's aim. Jumping makes you harder to hit, but makes your second shot less powerful. Crouching makes you more vulnerable, but makes your second shot more powerful. You gonna use the Bucky correctly now? No? Please? Anyone? Clove's abilities as a whole benefit a more aggressive and ratty playstyle despite Clove's role as a controller, which can be very beneficial to a shotgun-based playstyle, as long as someone on your team can win those early engagement fights. Clove C, Pick Me Up, is a very straightforward ability. Get a kill, and you get up to 100 extra HP depending on how much was lost, as well as a speed bonus comparable to a Brimstone Stim Beacon. Fortunately, in terms of Shotgun Clove, the application is just as straightforward. Generally, you should always wait until the timer is just about to run out before overhealing. This is because people generally try to refrag their teammate, which results in multi-kills for the shotgun player. The overheal animation makes you re-equip your gun, which makes you vulnerable. Waiting before overhealing also maximizes the amount of time you're overhealed and sped up for. For Shotgun Clove, unless you're a movement demon, you probably won't find a ton of extra value. Clove's Q, Metal, is essentially a buffed Raise Nade, but it only deals temporary damage. Unfortunately, you can't underhand this like you can with many other abilities like KO, Raise, and Killjoy Nade. This makes it more difficult to use as beneficially with a shotgun as you would with a rifle or especially a Guardian, which can one-shot decayed enemies. Metal is thrown at 15 meters per second and bounces off of walls and ceilings. After 2 seconds or 30 meters, or if it touches the floor, it will automatically explode, decaying 90 damage to all nearby enemies and allies. This means for long angles, you should learn to jump peek while throwing Metal so it reaches the full 30-meter distance rather than exploding midair. To achieve optimal Metal usage with the shotgun, try to throw it at the floor or off walls to make it explode as enemies swing you. It is not a bad play to throw it into a smoke to deny people from peeking out, optionally follow it up by spraying into the smoke to potentially secure a kill. The Shorty, however, can make this ability absolutely broken if used correctly. Essentially, the almost 90 damage that Metal decays is pretty perfect for the damage cutoffs of the Shorty at mid-range. Generally, when you buy a Shorty, it's either pistol round or a buy round where you bought a rifle. On pistol rounds, the 90 damage brings enemies down to either 10 or 35 health. Either way, your Shorty becomes a death cannon. 2 shots will usually do around 50 damage from up to 15 meters. Clove's signature ability is Ruse. Like all other smokes, Clove should be blocking off powerful enemy sightlines to assist in taking and holding sights. What makes Clove's smoke special? They are currently the only ability in the entire game that can be used while dead. Typically, since Clove has weak sight hold potential, on defense, shotguns and cheese weapons like the Ares, Odin, and Operator are the most beneficial. Generally, you want to only use one smoke at a time, smoking the more current angle first, since the smoke recharge timer does not affect the smokes independently, and the smokes don't really last that long. Then, with your second smoke, either use it selfishly, save a teammate, or smoke the second angle. If you die between the time you use your first and second smoke, you uniquely can still smoke the second angle, or whatever your team needs most of the time. By the time the second smoke goes down, a smoke should be almost recharged to either re-smoke an angle or to play around in some way. One-way angles can also be very beneficial for securing kills or denying aggressive pushes. A good tip is to use your smoke recharge timer as a gauge to know how much time your first smoke will stay up. When there's 18 seconds left on your smoke timer, your first smoke is going to fall. If this is the time you use your second smoke will fall at 5 seconds left on your recharge timer. For smoking angles, you want your smoke to essentially be a wall, flush with any corridor or opening. There are 4 places to play around the smoke to deny a push with a shotgun. Each has its own unique benefits and disadvantages. First, the obvious, playing in the middle of the smoke. This is good because most players, especially duelists, will walk into smokes not expecting a fight, and generally initiators wait until they are in the smoke before throwing out their utility. The downside to this is you are in a position that is vulnerable to being sprayed through the smoke, and generally, multi-kills in this position are rare as you'll be traded. Second, playing right outside the smoke. The benefit to this is you are less likely to be sprayed through the smoke, and you have a bit more time to react to pushes. The downside to this position is you're vulnerable to info gathering utility. In this position, multi-kills are more likely since you could spray into the smoke after getting the first kill, usually resulting in at least some more damage before dying. Third, playing outside and to the side of the smoke. This only works in certain angles and leaves you open to be refragged. The benefit to this position is that you are unable to be sprayed through the smoke. However, you're extremely vulnerable to flashes, dive duelists, and utility. The final, 4th position is the most risky, but if you're uncleared, you're pretty much safe to all forms of utility, and you are likely to secure multi-kills. Simply put your back to the edge of a smoke, and enemies generally won't clear behind themselves, and they will walk past you, allowing either a sneaky knife kill or a shotgun multi-kill if you have trigger discipline. For smoking selfishly, you typically want your smoke to be touching at least one wall, as to eliminate angles where they can enter the smoke from, making the smoke easier to hold. When smoking to save a teammate, simply place the smoke in between them and danger. If this is too difficult, place the smoke right on top of them and hope for the best. Here's a tech for both Clove and Brimstone smokes. Both agents can instantly place a smoke by pressing left mouse and right mouse at the same time, which can be super helpful when every millisecond matters. If you're being pushed and you need a second to recollect your thoughts or reposition, simply press E and spam your left and right click. Clove's ultimate is a super cool, super powerful reverse Phoenix ult. This ult revives the user at will, but only during the death cam animation. This means you cannot smoke after dying and then ult. In this split-second state, a good Clove player asks themselves the following. Is there a current need to ult? Is there a killable enemy nearby? Is there a smoke, cover, and or teammate nearby? If you answered yes to all of these, then ult. If not, then don't. It is also beneficial to smoke nearby if you know you will probably die soon. Clove's general map tier list looks like this. The shotgun map tier list looks like this. As you can see, there's quite a bit of overlap between the maps Clove is good on and the maps that shotguns are good on. Learn the best angles for shotguns on each higher tier map, and your shotgun rounds will pay off much more. Clove is great with shotguns, but how do they compare with other agents? First, let's get the obvious out of the way. Clove has smokes and no real movement abilities. This makes their shotgun playstyle much more defender-sided. The lack of movement abilities also contributes to a weak shotgun attack half. However, a Clove with rifles thrives on attack, so I recommend not buying shotguns on attack too often. Less obviously, Clove does not have any easy way to cancel the pullout animation of shotguns. Cypher and Neon, for example, can almost half the pullout time of any gun through ability usage. In terms of settings, most Clove players should have low detail graphics and red or purple enemy player models for the highest amount of visibility. It can also be useful to bind a mouse button to both fire and alt fire to instantly place smokes. Otherwise, keybinds are not super important, and you should use what's most comfortable. I hope this video was helpful to any bad or new smokes player, or any Clove player who wants to embrace the power of the Bucky on their ecos. Have a good one and stay ballin'.